I work primarily on drinking water treatment facility projects as a project manager, really focusing on getting the team together, working with our clients on the vision for what we're doing with the project, and then working with our internal cross-functional teams to make sure we're meeting deadlines, we're maintaining our schedules, and we're really showing at the end and with our deliverables and our product, really the vision that our clients are looking to get based on our conversations. Since every project's a little bit different, everyone has different needs.
I actually grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut and moved over here about 3 years ago. So kind of my eyes have been opened up to all things that are California water, which is really cool. There's a lot more planning, I think, that goes into projects here before design and construction. So I've been enjoying getting involved in projects like that. So I do the planning and modeling at the nexus of project concept and design. So I do a lot of modeling systems, modeling hydraulic systems, specifically wastewater collection systems and master planning. So that's kind of my bread and butter and what gets me up in the morning, gets me excited about work. In high school, I took an AP environmental science class, and I started getting interested in something career with the environment, but to be honest, I didn't know what engineering really was until I started in environmental engineering as my major. So I figured when I was going into environmental engineering that it was a way to apply environmental science to some sort of design work potentially, but I had no idea what that actually entailed. And then as I got into it, I started to, I guess, realize that thankfully it was the right profession for me. And I like that I got into water. It just happened by chance. It's really cool to see the work you do in action, when you turn on the faucet every day, and when you see a cup of coffee get poured, you know that what you do has an impact on that.
I was also inspired by my AP Environmental Science class, and I also volunteered at the Mystic Aquarium in Mystic, Connecticut. And I thought that I wanted to go more the marine biology route, hence why I was volunteering at the aquarium. But my dad really pushed me thinking about math and science, really kind of going a little bit more to an application engineering route. And one of the cool things that really inspired me to want to go to school for water wastewater was working at the aquarium. When you're behind the scenes, they actually had really incredible filtration equipment to be able to maintain the water quality in some of the animal exhibits. And I remember learning that the tank for like the beluga whales was basically filtered almost entirely over nearly 1 million gallons in like less than 2 hours or something. And I was just like, that's super cool. I want to learn more about that. And so I actually ended up looking for colleges and focusing on water, wastewater. And I was happy to see that through going through school and through internships, that I really felt kind of just as strongly at the end of school and going into my career as I did when I decided that that's what I wanted to do. One of the things that excites me about the work that I specifically do is, starting from the beginning, the point of it's an idea, it's a conversation, and then moving that project through. So getting into design, having those detailed conversations, having those workshops, talking about what our clients want to see with that project, what is the meaning of success of that project, and bringing it through design and getting it into construction. And there's really, in my opinion, nothing more rewarding than getting to the end of some of these capital infrastructure projects where you're walking into the building, you're turning on the lights, you're opening the door, you're looking at the process of something that just 4 or 5 years ago was a conversation, and here it is, it's an operation. And also knowing the impact that makes to some of the communities. I think a lot of the times especially drinking water is talked about as a silent utility. People only think about it once they don't have it. When you just assume that you're going to turn on the faucet, it's going to be there, it's always going to be safe. I geek out about it all the time with my friends because they always have questions, because again, everyone drinks water.
There's so much that goes on between when water gets to your faucet and the source of that water, and also on the wastewater side in terms of the source of when you flush the toilet versus where it goes after that. And I actually grew up on top of a big hill, and we didn't have connections to a city system. So we had our own drinking water well, we had our own septic system. So my eyes were very much opened up to the whole world of water and wastewater once I started learning more about it, because as a consumer, just all of that infrastructure is kind of blind to you unless you go out and you look for it. So that kind of made me interested from the start. And I think what's really rejuvenated my interest is being out here in California, because there is so much water stress that planning that I was talking about is so instrumental. And you can really see how everything is related to each other. So we're working on potable reuse out here in Los Angeles, which some of these projects in Southern California are going to be the first of their kind that are in operation for public consumption. And you have to think about so many things when you think about implementing a project like that. You have to think about, where are you going to take your source for the recycled water? Where are you going to put it back into the system? If you're putting it all in the same place in the system, is it equitable to give people a higher concentration of recycled water in one place than another? Like, there's all of these questions that come up. Yeah, so I actually just started helping managing a project in Southern California where we're doing an integrated master plan. So we're going to be looking at their wastewater collection system, their potable water distribution system, and their stormwater system. And we'll be, looking at what could be the impacts of future development on the system, what are the deficiencies or potential improvements that we could make to the system to prepare for some of those developments, or to kind of address existing deficiencies that we find, and just kind of bringing that all together. And then ultimately, that information will be used for that city to be able to make determinations for their capital improvement program. So to be able to improve the infrastructure in the city for the public so that their drinking water is safe, their streets aren't flooding, and their wastewater is kept inside the system and treated.
So I am working on one project that's a new surface water treatment plant, and we're at the early phases where we've done piloting, and we kind of have an idea of what the process is going to look like, and we're starting to put that together. We're creating the tankage and looking at how the water is going to flow through the facility. But at the same time, the human factor is so important. What does an average day look like for this operator? Okay, when they get to work, where are they going to go? Are they going to go put their stuff in the locker room and then the fridge, and then they're going to go to the lab or the control room? And not only thinking about the treatment side of it, which is really interesting, but also the human side of it, and how do we best design a facility that's something that we would be proud to tell the operator, we thought of that, and working with these operators. So I'll say I first got involved with New England Waterworks Association, which is our local New England chapter of AWWA. I started as really just going to some events with some of my coworkers who were a little bit more involved. At that time, one of my coworkers, I believe, was one of the officers on the committee, and really was trying to push getting folks to the events. And I think in the beginning, I was really focused on, getting settled in my job. What is the new working world like? And then kind of once I felt comfortable there, going to a lot more stuff. and really the value of having a mentor that was involved and really sharing their benefit and, you know, what they got out of it really got me interested. So then I was pulled in to kind of, you know, plan some events, and then I really found, you know, with most of these professional organizations, you really get what you put into it. And so, yeah, it might take a lot of time to plan this event, but the value that you get out of having these relationships with these other folks in the industry who have similar problems or have different problems that you can learn from for when you have those problems, whether it's on a project, whether it's technical, whether it's even just, you know, being an employee and just working in the industry. Those relationships and those experiences are so valuable, and I knew that I had gotten a lot out of it, and I really wanted to kind of give back and get a little bit more involved. So I had joined as an officer and kind of had gone through our local chapter kind of goes through a progression. And at the same time, I was really interested. I was doing a lot of work outside of just New England. So I was interested in learning a little bit more about AWWA on the national scale. There's a lot of technical committees. There's a lot of other stuff going on that really kind of breaks the boundaries of regions. And so I had actually been doing social media for our New England chapter, and then got invited to go to AWWA's ACE in Las Vegas to be a social media volunteer. To kind of go and like take pictures and do videos of some of the events to share to the AWWA social media accounts. And by being able to get there and have that experience, I was able to meet with different committees. I was able to meet different individuals and started getting involved in some of the national level committees, where I got involved in the Water Treatment Facility Design and Construction Committee, which I'm still a member of, and also had started getting involved in the AWWA Young Professionals Committee, which I'm a committee member of, that helps plan some of the young professionals and student events for ACE, WQTC, and the Young Professional Summit coming up. So really trying to help attract other young professionals and students into the association and the industry.
I got involved with AWWA in general through the Connecticut section when I first started out as a young professional in my career, and also it was my coworkers at the firm I was at that exposed me to, you know, what this group was and got me excited about it. So first I started attending, then I started helping them plan some events, because, you know, as they got more experienced in their careers, they got busier, and I had some time, so I was willing to help, you know, pick up the reins, so to speak. So I was very involved in Connecticut, and then when I moved out to California, and I was, you know, with Woodard and Curran out in California, I decided to go to the YP Summit conference. It's an annual event that basically the YP committee of AWWA and of WEF plan together. And this one was in Anaheim, so it was an easy drive for me down to Anaheim. It was easy for me to ask for approval to go, and I accidentally got there half a day early, and so I knew Renee was going to be there, so I sent Renee a text message. I said, "Renee, what are you doing right now? I'm here way too early. Do you want to get some coffee or, you know, hang out?" And Renee said, "Oh, I actually am going to the National YP Committee meeting that we have this morning. Would you like to come?" And so I was basically exposed to the National Committee by accident, by a mistake, but I'm very glad that it happened. And I would say maybe it was fate in some way. So I met the folks on the committee there, and then I heard that there were a few openings on the committee, so I applied, and I was accepted for the next term. And then out in California, so we have the California Nevada section that I'm part of now. I was actually assigned to be their liaison through the national organization. So I was basically assigned to help them out with their section, whatever they needed help with in terms of growing and recruiting membership. I think we're all beginning to see the issues that we face with the workforce and the lack of available talent. And so to be able to provide safe, clean drinking water, to provide sanitation services for the long term, we need to start focusing on and investing in our young professionals and women and people of color and just anyone who wants to be involved in this industry, because we need that talent to be able to take us into the future. This is a very important job. It doesn't stop on holidays. We have operators out at facilities all the time. If there is a pipe burst, or if there is a treatment plant backup or an overflow, we need people out there. We need people on boots on the ground solving the problems. So that's been a driver for me. And I also just have found value in being a part of this industry. So I want to share that, with other people that might be interested, including women and young professionals. And I think that, I love working at Woodard Curran. So I also internally at Woodard Curran am involved in our young professionals group, because I really want to be a part of keeping the young professionals we have at the firm and making their experience better. I think that there is something special about getting a group of young professionals together and having a safe space for them to talk and share their thoughts, because what they discuss and what they find as outcomes of a conversation might be totally different than, another group of people.
So I would say, the biggest thing with this industry is there's just so much that I think the average person who might not be as involved may not have had, a person in their life kind of say, hey, did you think of that? You just wouldn't think of. And, it goes beyond even just engineering and science. There's a lot of different ways you can be involved in this industry, and a lot of the work we do on the association level, I've been involved in the New England section. We have a university outreach committee, is going to places and presenting on what are the opportunities in the water industry. It's not just, you're an engineer, you graduate, you go design, maybe similar to some of the work that I do. You could be working in marketing or public relations for a utility, which is a really important job. You could be working on a manufacturing side, but knowing that the work, what you're manufacturing is going into some of these improvements in these communities and really improving the quality of water, or the ability to put out a fire, things like that. And at the end of it is, no matter what job it is in the industry, and there's so many of them, it's so mission driven. It's, everyone is really in this industry to provide, a better future through better water, whether it's through better water management, whether it's through reuse, whether it's through better water treatment. And I know one of the big things we say in a lot of the associations is we want our workforce to really look like the communities we serve our water to. And so, to be able to get the best input and make the best decisions for the long run, you really need to have the input and the diversity of the communities that we serve. So we really want to focus on recruiting all those folks, because there's a lot of work to be done in this industry. So I started here as an intern and in the operations and management group. And through that, I was really able to get a lot of hands-on experience. And then I ended up shifting into the consulting side after I graduated with my master's through some of the relationships I made during my internship. And one of the biggest things that has jumped out to me working at Woodard Curran is just there's always an opportunity if you're willing to take it. I've worked in 3 different offices. I have gotten to work on a wide range of projects. If there's something I'm really interested in, I've been able to vocalize that and kind of work with my manager and our teams to see if I can work on a project that kind of fits those needs. And then kind of the other big thing for me is, as an engineer, having worked in the operations side of it, is this whole idea of, we're not just designing to solve a problem, an engineering problem. It's also, there are people who are going to be operating this equipment, and there's maintenance things to be considered. So one of the things I love is being able to get on the phone with folks from our operations team and just ask questions of, hey, if you were using this type of system, you know, what would you do? You know, what would you like to see? Or, you know, have you ever seen this thing? How did it work? And really getting to, you know, float things by them, have them review different things, because at the end of the day, we want something that's not only solving the problem, but, you know, moving forward, there's not other problems, you know, not unintended consequences like putting a light bulb over an open tank of water that you'll never be able to replace.
I think that Woodard and Curran it's a great size where we are large enough to offer lots of resources to employees, but also small enough where, you know, people know you by name, people know you by face, you're working with some of the same people, and you feel like, you know, you have that opportunity to progress, you know, move up in your career, move up the ladder. And I think for me, that's really important. And also, like I said before, the people are great. I love the people that I work with. They're very easy to work with. They care about my professional development, and they care about me as a person, I feel, as well. So that's a great environment to be a part of. And I think too that we also give room to employees to develop themselves. So unlike some other firms I have personally been at as well, we have a utilization target that is reasonable. So we leave time in an employee's day for training, for development activities, for involvement in, you know, things that aren't just project delivery. So, you know, my time focusing on the young professionals group at Woodard and Curran, or my time volunteering for AWWA, you know, they give me the opportunity to invest my time in those things. And I think that all of that has just made my experience here so meaningful.
I would say honestly at Woodard and Curran, I don't really notice the differences in kind of that representation on kind of gender representation. I'm in the Andover office. It's kind of around like 60 to 70 people. And I want to say at all times, it's been almost 50-50. If not, sometimes it's actually teetered a little bit more than 50% women. So especially coming from that office, and in a lot of our meetings, I would say the only times that I really notice kind of the gender disparity in the industry is more at your true kind of boots on the ground construction meeting, because especially I do feel that side of the industry is still a little bit more behind on incorporating. Having served as a hiring manager and as a employee manager, I see it in just pure applications. There's a lot of interest from women. Sometimes, you know, I would say almost more. And even just seeing that change over the past like 7 years, it really shows, I think, that the industry, the engineering as a whole is a bit more approachable. And I think there's been, and that's definitely, I would say, a result of all the work that's been done there. You know, a lot of work on kind of STEM education focused on women, starting at the early school level. Because again, I would say, as we noted before, is a lot of the stuff with some of the science and engineering kind of fields is almost everyone you talk to that's there is there because someone introduced them to that was a possibility. And it might, for me, it was my dad. My dad's a scientist. And so he works with a bunch of engineers, and he kind of introduced me to it. But there's a lot of people who don't have family in the field and might not know how to introduce them. So whether it's a lot of schools have focused on a lot of job programs. I know I'm going to a school next month to talk at lunchtime, again, focused on women in STEM, and kind of the panel that I'm sitting on is a bunch of women also working in STEM fields, just to show some of these kids that it's there, it's an opportunity, it might be unique, but that's changing.
So when I first started working full time, I think I was one of maybe 3 women in my own office. My office was around 30 people, so it was, less than 10% women overall. And I was the only young professional that was a woman in my own office. So it was an interesting experience. I didn't feel like I was treated any lesser as a woman in the environment, but there are some subconscious thoughts that come along with being in that kind of environment. And I think that being at Woodard and Curran, I have seen many more women than I had anticipated, especially in the California offices, which was refreshing. And I do feel like subconsciously I have felt more comfortable there, just because I see more people like myself. I see more people like myself in management, and I see opportunities for me to grow. We have a female CEO now, which is really, really cool. I was excited to hear about Allison becoming CEO. And I think that's important. I think that's important for people that are looking at companies and evaluating companies. They want to see people that are like themselves, because like Renee said, we need to appeal to anybody who's interested, because these jobs are not going away. They're going to be here forever. So, in order to deliver the best projects for our clients and our community, we need people that look like our community.